I plummeted into the river, and the weight of the enormous jar strapped to my back sent me straight to the bottom like a stone. I'm not sure how I did it, but I managed to swim to the surface. I gasped for air as the strong current tossed me up and down. I sank again, and my mouth filled with water. I was sure my lungs would burst. Pawing with all my might, I reached the surface once more. The swift-moving current took me downriver with incredible speed. The current dragged me close to shore. As I floated under a tree branch extending over the water, I felt a paw pluck me by the neck and haul me out of the river. A gentle voice whispered, "Don't give up." Then I fainted. When I came to, I saw 2 pairs of dark little eyes as ripe as berries staring at me cautiously. Then two shrill little voices yelled, "Grandpop, he's awake!" An elderly rodent with silver fur, a cowboy hat, and a red bandana around his neck came closer and smiled at me. That's when I recognized him. It was the same rodent who'd fished me out of the river, the same one I had seen riding on a horse in the valley. It was the Red Bandit. His eyes twinkled with amusement under the brim of his cowboy hat. "Welcome to my home, Geronimo," he said. Stunned, I opened my eyes wide and said, "How do you know who I am? Did Grandfather tell you I was coming?" He shook his head. "Nope, he couldn't have. I don't have a phone or electricity." He took a faded photo from his pocket and showed it to me. "Your grandfather sent me this photo years ago," he said. "I recognized you right off. You haven't changed much." I looked around and realized that I was inside a log cabin, a house made entirely of wood. I was tucked inside a cozy bed and wrapped in a quilt. The quilt looked handmade out of colorful fabric squares. In the room, there was also a nightstand, a rug, a wooden table, a stool, a rocking chair, some small baskets, and a fireplace brightened by a warm, crackling fire. Through a small window, I could see a slice of sky studded with stars. I realized that this house was built with love and inhabited by happy rodents. The Red Bandit nodded as if he had heard my thoughts. "Yes, Geronimo, I built this house with my own 2 paws many years ago. I don't need a lot of stuff in order to be happy. I just want to be in touch with nature and to protect it the best I can." I nodded sleepily. "We'll talk tomorrow, Geronimo," he said. "Have I got some yarns to share with you?" I wanted to thank him, but I quickly drifted into a deep, deep sleep. I dreamed that Grandfather William was nervously pacing back and forth across my office, waiting for his new hat. When I woke up that morning, sunlight streamed through the window. I felt much, much better. The Red Bandit loaned me some cowboy clothes. To thank him, I helped him out with some chores around the cabin, doing tasks just like they did in the days of old. I stayed with the Red Bandit and his grandchildren for several days until I was feeling better. The Red Bandit took care of me while Cody and Bonnie kept me company. We became such good friends that they asked if they could call me Uncle. That made me so happy. On the 3rd day, Trap, Poppy, Wild Willie, and Bruce Hyena showed up at the cabin. They'd formed a search party to find me. "Good for you, Stilton," Poppy exclaimed. "You're still alive." Wild Willie slapped my back. "I'm proud of you, rookie," he said. Bruce chuckled. "Cheesehead, it's good to see you alive, and you're in tip-top shape." Trap hugged me. "'Cause I thought you were a goner for sure this time." Then he looked around anxiously. "I have Grandfather's hat safely here in the hat box, but where's the enormous jar?" he asked. "Do you have it? Did it get broken in the river?" I smacked upon my forehead. Cheese niblets! I had completely forgotten about Grandfather's hat and the enormous jar of chocolate cheese delight. I started to sweat. It must have gotten smashed in the river. Grandfather would have my whiskers for sure. Trap's cell phone rang and he handed it to me. It was Thea. "I was worried sick about you," she said. "Are you all right? Did you find the Red Bandit? And did you deliver the enormous jar of chocolate cheese delight in one piece?" I had to tell her the truth. Sort of. "Well, I didn't find the Red Bandit. He found me. He fished me out of the river. As for the jar, tell Grandfather that everything's okay. I hope. I'll give the jar to the Red Bandit right away, if I find it, so he can open it up, if it's not broken to bits." "Broken to bits?" Thea asked, but luckily, the Red Bandit walked in rolling the enormous jar. "Is this what you're looking for, Geronimo?" he asked. "I fished it out of the river along with you. I put it in the stable to stay cool." Thank goodness. The enormous jar was safe. "Red Bandit, this is a gift from my grandfather," I explained. "He said to tell you here's a gift just as sweet and enormous as our friendship." Red Bandit's eyes got wide. This gift is truly enormous. Cody and Bonnie brought in a ladder and placed it next to the enormous jar. The red bandit climbed to the top, opened the lid with a plop, and dipped a paw into the chocolatey, cheesy spread. Then he tasted it. "How is it?" Trap asked eagerly. The red bandit grinned. "Delicious," he exclaimed. "Go ahead and have some." Everyone grabbed a spoon or a ladle and dipped it into the jar. We put the spread on bread and cookies. Trap didn't even bother with any bread. He gobbled the spread down by the ladleful. Nobody minded, though, because the jar was so enormous that there was plenty for everyone.